Yeah, obviously, good afternoon to everyone. Yeah, difficult trip away from home. We would have liked the draw to have been favourable to us so that we could play at home. Difficult team. We played them not so long ago in the league where we did manage to beat them, but their form has improved. The result that they got against Sundowns was a fantastic result, fantastic performance. So we know very, very well that it's going to be a very, very tough game to play them in Durban. Manoga's team, they play very open type of game, to play from the back, a lot of speed up front, a lot of individual ability from the players. So we've got to make sure that we're well structured, well organized, but at the same time, try and apply our principles in the game. And as much as we may have started the league well, it's about that consistency. We don't want to lose two games in a row. We obviously lost our last league match. So going into this one, for us, very, very important that we look to get back to winning ways and obviously try and see ourselves in the next round of the Carling Cup.
Thank you, Coach. We'll take the first question from the floor. We do have a roving microphone, just by show of hands, so if you have any questions. We'll start with Wesley.
Afternoon, Coach. You mentioned that it's been an incredible start to the Betway Premiership. Do you believe that there's enough in your squad to be able to balance the current run you have in the league, but also putting on a strong cup run together as well?
Yeah, I think we've got enough depth in our squad. We obviously picked up a couple of injuries along the way with Linda and Tambu with a long-term injury and Matsimbi with a long-term injury. And both players started the season very, very well. But I feel the depth that we have in the squad, Sean Mochail has come in, he's replaced. I think Vusi Nube's really done well playing the 10 role. So yeah, I think we have the depth and we want to try and achieve things this season. One of those achievements is trying to win at least one of the cup competition. So we go into this game with that mindset and with that attitude to try and ensure that we get through to the next round.
Right. Do we have any further questions? Let's go to Eswatini. We find Benjamin Miranda.
Coach Benjamin Renga, Eswatini Daily News. Coach, as you have just alluded to say, you had started the league very well until the last game when you lost. What does that do to the players because they were used to that run of not being beaten?
You're giving me the form thing again. No, I don't think it means a lot. I think what the players should recognize is that you've done very, very well. No team has come and slaughtered us. Majority of the games that we've played, we've had the greater majority of possession. We've had the greater majority of opportunities created. The last game was a blip. One mistake, we got caught. One opportunity, that's all they had. Coastal didn't have to make a single save in the last two matches. Yet we conceded 2 goals in the last 2 matches, which is obviously disappointing. But when you're at the top, I've explained this to the players, when you're at the top of the league, you become a target. And teams now approach the games very, very differently when they play against you. They're going to look to sit a little bit deeper. They're going to look to try and hit you on the counter. Now you need to start improvising. You have to change the way you play, especially in attack. As much as we created a lot of opportunities when teams open themselves, we've got to be able to do the exact same thing when teams make it difficult for you. So the example would be Sundowns. Every game Sundowns goes into, teams are playing in a low block and looking to hit them on the counter. Sundowns are always looking for ways to break that down. So now it's about us working on those finer details in training to ensure that we tried not to allow it to happen again.
All right, let's go to Colin.
Coach, I mean, you've been there before. Any team that you tune up, you'd go performance, and maybe you're not even looking at how best you guys maintain the balance. So there are times where you mathematically know that I'm here, top 4, and something just happens. What is your strength? I mean, who does the recaps, you name it, or maybe how do you really balance the whole matter to say, I want to end up there?
No, I think it's very, very difficult. So giving the example of you play Chipper midweek on a Wednesday, and Chipper now come play low block 6, back line of 6 and the front line of 4, and now you're looking to break them down, and you find it difficult. But now you know the next opposition are going to try and apply the same principles, but you have a game 3 days later. That becomes difficult because ultimately to work on this final phase like I've managed now over this past week, to work on it, the expectation is that the tempo of the game has to be high. The actions have to be high. You have to do the training session according to the intensity of the game. But to recreate that when you've just played and now you're going into another game, you can't. It's impossible. So a lot of what you're now providing to the players is just feedback, vocal feedback, and obviously try and show them post-match analysis of where we made our mistakes and what we need to do to try and ensure that we can break them down again. But nothing, it's far easier to work on those aspects of our game on the field of play during the training sessions. But when games are coming thick and fast, it becomes difficult to apply those situations. But also the fact of, we spoke about it at the beginning of the season, in order to compete for the league, it's not about beating Pirates, Chiefs, Sundowns. It's about beating Chippa. It's about beating Polokwane City. You know? Now what we can do is thank our stars that we beat Chiefs and we beat Pirates, because we didn't get maximum points out of those games. But those games become extremely important to win if you truly want to call yourself a team that is competing for the league.
TBT.
Sorry, yeah.
You've been out of the game.
Yeah, I'm not sure. No, certain projects was telling me that don't ask a long question, just keep it short and precise. And my question to you, coach, is you recently welcomed Mashilwane from another Pirates. I just wanted to find out from you, do you see him more as a right back or a centre back? Because I know his previous team was playing right back, but the history says that he also plays as a centre back.
So he's a carbon copy of Matsimbi, because Matsimbi was a centre back playing for Black Leopards, and now I've turned him into a right back. He has the ability to play both, you know. So he has that ability to be able to either play in a back 4 as a right centre back, or in a back 3 as a right centre back, or he can play as a right fullback. And if I do play in the back 3, there's sometimes I might play him as a wing back. You know, so nowadays the modern game demands that players need to have more than just one profile. And I think, you know, he fits that profile quite well. And, you know, truth be told, it was a last minute signing because of what happened to Matsimbi, you know. So he wasn't really on our radar in the beginning. In fact, he played against us when we played Pirates. You know, so that was the opportunity that I got to see him, and he actually played right back. So for me, it made sense to bring him in because of the long-term injury of Matsimbi. So that we ensured that we have Sean and Matsimbi, but now we lose Matsimbi. Yes, we can go fetch a youngster from maybe the DDC, but our goals and our objectives this season is to push for the top three. So we need a lot of experience and players that have already shown their true ability versus taking a risk with one of the youngsters. Plus, that level of competition between Matsimbi and Mokhaila is important. Now with Matsimbi getting injured, you don't want Sean thinking, well, I'm guaranteed a starting berth. So you're adding that pressure onto him to make him aware that, he's competing for that position with someone else who's just as apt as he is.